Jessica. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, we have to discuss Season 3, Episode 6 of the Gilded Age. We have so much to cover in this episode. I'm about to head out to my good friend's house. She is having a function where the dress code is for everyone to wear the thing that they've been saving for a special occasion. I haven't been saving this, but I am dying to wear it again, okay? So let's get through this, efficiently and effectively. I want to start with the storyline that was most triggering in the best way for me, which is Peggy's. So Peggy, upon a very, I feel like, positive conversation with Dr. Kirkland, where I appreciate that he was not only supportive of her writing career and, her traveling to go and cover this really important suffragette story. I also appreciate that he extended compassion to her and wasn't expecting for her to be a woman who hasn't lived a life. And I think that's incredibly progressive, especially given that time period. I wonder how many men there were back then, especially Black men, who could have held space for a woman in that way. And I doubt that there are a lot of, stories of that. I'm curious if that was something that people even discussed back then, but I'm happy that he held space for her. So he admonishes her to invite his mom to this suffragette meeting where they're chatting about why women need the right to vote as well. And these are conversations that we are still having in 2025, where certain people who I believe are still very male-centered feel that the way forward for Black people as a whole is for us to prioritize straight Black men, and further marginalized Black people need to wait. And the fact that that conversation could have been had today and still been relevant is sad and scary and interesting, but it just is what it is, I guess. What I've always wondered when people have said, whenever gay Black people or trans Black people or Muslim Black people or just anybody within our community that is further marginalized outside of being a straight cis het Black man, whenever we want to speak up about the way we're treated within and outside of our community, it's we don't have time for that. We need to focus on us as a whole. When is it going to be the right time for us to say what we need within and without our community? And I thought that it was just a very important scene because, though, like I said, those conversations are still happening today. I think this also led Peggy's mom and Mrs. Kirkland to asking some very important questions. I have been thinking a lot about the way I was taught to date, or rather the lack thereof. People didn't tell me a whole lot in terms of looking for partnership. I was just always told, don't date no broke nigga. That was the grand opening, grand closing. Whatever you do, don't marry nobody who ain't got more than you, or at least what you have, right? No one had ever told me that as a girl, as a young Black girl growing up in Atlanta, where we're instilled this certain amount of confidence in being Black American, that you go out here and you be the best that you can be. You carry yourself a certain way, you achieve these things in a certain way. No one warns you for the fact that that makes you undesirable to certain men, to, I would say, a lot of men. I'm not going to say majority because I'm trying to change my mindset around that, but nobody prepares you for the fact that you're taught to be a quote unquote strong person. You're taught to be self-sustaining. You are taught, and not just directly, but you watch the women around you just kind of make it happen for themselves. The women who raised me cooked with what they had in the kitchen, so to speak. There was nobody coming to save anybody. Nobody really told me, when you are a certain kind of woman, when you have certain kinds of standards, when you hold yourself in a certain kind of way, you have to find a man who is strong enough to be your partner. And Mrs. Kirkland is bringing an important point to her son, where, yeah, you might admire a woman who goes out into the world and makes things happen, who has a career and who has passions and interests and goes for what she wants. But can you admire a wife like that? We don't I don't think that we holistically talk about how coddled men are, especially Black men within our community. We coddle so many. The things that were expected of me were not expected of my brother, and vice versa, right? But I think that women are expected to perform a motherhood role, even when within partnership. Men are socialized to look for, some men are socialized to look for women who are, to look for mothers in their partners for themselves and their children. You can only spread yourself so thin. If you have a career and you have a husband and you have children and you have a home that you're expected to keep, you have to be with a partner that understands that you work just like he worked. It has to be, the values have to be in alignment. And I do think that these are questions that are important to ask, that Peggy's mom is asking her. Yeah, you know that you're strong enough to take on his family and to take on the colorism and the pick-me-ism. You know that you're strong enough to handle that, but can he? And I think that's a really important conversation that I wonder how my life would have turned out if someone had had that conversation with me earlier on. So I really liked both of those scenes. So Bertha visits Gladys in the castle, and Bertha is getting an idea of how things have been for Gladys here. That, like, why is Lady Sarah determining what you wear? Why is this like this? And really, she does the Mufasa of like, baby, remember who you are, remember where you came from. Let this woman know, first of all, if it wasn't for me, y'all would be destitute. This house is quite dreary, and because of my money, y'all can start to make this house more lively again. And Bertha tells Gladys and her bangs, your father is a businessman. You know what you're doing. And Gladys tells her, anything that I know about how to carry myself, how to negotiate, I learned from you. This is about the 4th or 5th time this season that someone has highlighted this characteristic in Bertha as a positive, right? That she goes out and she makes things happen. And I love the way she called Lady Sarah out on her pick-me-ism at dinner. It was like, oh, if you don't believe that women should have the right to vote, or that women should be involved in politics or these kinds of things, do you think that your queen should have rejected the crown? Like, what exactly are you saying here? I love that she called her out. I love that she shook her. I love that she, Bertha is kind of showing Gladys how to play the game. Look at where you came from, remember who you are, and let this hoe know you can't play in my face like that. And Gladys starts to take more of an interest in the estate and starts ingratiating herself to their social circle, which is important for her to be able to thrive. Now, what I'm curious about is, did Gladys enjoy the sex? Because we ain't seen nothing else about them folks in the bedroom life. We had that one scene on the boat. Did she like it or not? Is them folks boinking or not? Is Gladys gonna turn up pregnant soon or not? What's going on? Okay, I'm curious. And I'm curious too if this is setting us up for a storyline for Bertha to become more of a businesswoman in her own right, because we see how assertive she is and how she feels about women's rights, and even the way that Aurora Fane is treated. I want to see where this goes, because I don't see Bertha staying in George's shadow for much longer, given these little nuggets that they're giving us. So JP Morgan sequesters the businessman and says, listen, the fact that ain't nobody a stakeholder in this railroad company is holding everybody up. We not leaving here until somebody owns 51% of the shares. They work out a deal. George is gonna, be the HBIC, and the guy says, okay, we'll handle it when we get back to New York. Clay is not going silently into the night. Clay is like, baby, I'm about to lay all your shit bare. So when they get back to New York, there are stories planted that George Russell doesn't have all the money that he claims to have. And so shares are falling. George is freaking out, and he's threatening violence. He's like, I should have had Brooke killed. And it's like, George, how many people you done had killed? What you been doing out here? Do we really know how you made your fortune? Is it some bodies buried somewhere? Like Clay said, are there actual bodies buried? Sure, we gonna find out. And then George said, I'll let this shit burn to the ground before I sell to them folks. So, sir, think of your family. Hello. Meanwhile, out west, Larry is in Morenci, and they discovered that there is copper-rich land out there. The folks just didn't look far enough or do enough research. So my question is this a ram in the bush for the family, Or is George stretched too thin to even offer generous payment for this land, which is what would be required for them to take this land that these folks don't, the miners don't even know. It's some more shit out here for y'all. So in order to buy the land with that knowledge and it not be a problem later, they need to offer them generous payments. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know how this is gonna work out, honey. I think Marianne is being dramatic. I know I'm thinking with the 2025 mind, and I'm like, are you upset that he lied? What exactly are we upset about here? I don't think that it's necessary to write a letter and take it across the street and call the whole thing off, babe. I just think that this is a bit much. And the fact that Aunt Agnes is so happy about it and wants you to be with a man who is dull and uninteresting, that should give you pause that maybe you're not moving in the right direction. Like, okay, so he went to a house of ill repute. Again, I'm from Atlanta. It's 2025. I'm 38 years old. I could be tripping, but I feel like Marianne is tripping. And she's just so green that it's actually annoying me. Like, girl, calm down. This ain't that deep. And again, Aunt Agnes being so happy about it, that should give you pause. That should let you know you might be moving too hard too soon. You might be putting 10 on 2. Like, sometimes when you got to consider the people who agree with your decisions, like, consider the source. Because sometimes when I'm debating something, and you know, like I consult counsel because I am a person who's an external processor. When certain people agree with me, I'd be like, this might not be the best decision. I don't know now, you know? Jack, I'm happy to see that Jack is still working away and doodling about. And I was so, again, scarcity mindset, something for me to work on. I was like, okay, he sold this watch invention. They're going to go on to make so much more money from it. What if he doesn't come up with anything else? And he's already, you know, sketching ideas about mixers and things like that. And it just gets to a point where they're like, Jack, you need to step out and be on your own. It's not appropriate for you to make as much money as you do and be working for us. I guess it would lead to eventual resentment from the folks downstairs, but I feel like Armstrong is the only resentful bitch. And sometimes people do need a push. I needed a push to move to New York, you know, from Atlanta, however many years ago, over a decade now. I understand them pushing him out, but I'm also kind of sad for him and also a little bit nervous. Like, he doesn't know this new world, but, you know, maybe Larry will be his guide. You know, maybe we'll get a good little montage, you know, next season of him finding his way as a moneyed man in the world. I love that he gave everyone back like twice or triple their investments in him. And just hoping the best things for Larry. But again, I mean, not Larry, Jack, but I am nervous though, because like power and money tends to corrupt. And I hope that they don't corrupt that sweet, sweet boy. I just don't know about Oscar Van Ryn going to see Maud Beaton. I don't believe her that she was a pawn in this scheme. I think she's still scamming. I don't trust it. I mean, it does track, because if she got to walk away with the money, then why would she be back here? Sure. I think, you know, Oscar offering her this money and this way out is a good way for him to soothe his own conscience, because he knows what he was trying to scam her to do. But I still don't like it. I don't trust her. I don't like nothing about it. Poor Aunt Ada realizes that the psychic was a scam. We ended the episode with scammers, but I am happy that Agnes finally offered her some kindness and some compassion and reassured her that, you know, Mr. Forte is wherever she is. He's there. Of course you feel close to him. He's in your heart. And I'm happy. I'm always happy that we get these little moments of humanizing Aunt Agnes, because she can be a real cold bitch. Y'all, why did they have to kill John Adams like that in this runaway horse accident? Baby, I wasn't ready for that. And I know y'all warned me, but I still wasn't ready. Why we had to see that? My God, today. Was it planned? Did somebody take bro out on purpose? Was it a life insurance policy thing? What's going on? I don't trust nothing. I don't trust nobody. We're in the age of scamming in this part of the series. Did somebody plan this? Okay? I got questions. Can't wait to get to the next episode, so come back and see me. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe and share and join the Patreon. If you guys have recommendations of exclusive content that folks will be willing to pay a small fee for, let me know. Nothing sexual and nothing naked, okay? I'm not at that place in my life, but I do support sex workers, okay? So talk soon. Bye!